representing Divinity Original Sin. And that's a party-based RPG that you can play in single player and drop in, drop out multiplayer. So if a friend joins you, he takes over one of the party members. In single player, you control all the party members. The party is always at least these two guys because the story is actually about them. Why is the story about them? They're special because they're the only guys on the good side that can use source magic. Source magic is being used by the bad guys who are trying to take over the world. That's what they do. They don't have hobbies and stuff. And it was a lazy Sunday, I don't know. And we were the only guys who can resist that magic, and we have the counter spells for them because with normal weapons there's not much you can do against that. It actually is a prequel to the Divinity series, and because it is a Divinity game, you have to be able to interact with the world a lot. And that means that anything that's not too heavy, I have to be able to pick it up and throw it around and actually interact with it. So that's why we're able to do all this. And I can also open it up to see what's inside, loot stuff, and then I can even destroy this stuff. So apparently in this barrel there was also some water, and we are using, especially in combat of course, we're using surfaces as well. So later in combat it'll become a bit more clear. So if you smash a water barrel, water comes out, creates a water puddle, and you can use that in combat to your advantage, especially with the source magic that we have. For instance, Benoit used his ice dragon skill to turn that water surface into an ice surface. And these things, of course, work the way that you expect them to. So if I throw a fireball onto the ice, it'll melt and it turns back into a water surface. So the source magic that we're using is actually a rock, paper, scissors system built around the four elements, earth, wind, fire, and water. The funny thing is, of course, that the enemies are going to use similar magic, so we have to actually watch what they can do, see how they will react to what we're using, and such. I had to stop that sentence somewhere, I didn't know how. We're walking around the world here, and there's these two soldiers bickering about, do you want to go up there? No, blah, 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 I don't want to go there. So their captain has sent them out apparently to check up on the lighthouse, because people think that it's haunted and it might have to do something with recent sightings of skeletons and zombies. And in that dialogue they actually talked me into doing their job for them, and they said something like, we'll guard your rear from the back, and they run away. And so we can, in Divinity game you're also free a lot, so you can, I didn't have to start that dialogue, I don't have to do this for them, but for presentation's sake we'll go through the motions here. So we ran up to the lighthouse, and the atmosphere becomes a bit more gloomy, so I can understand why they didn't want to come up here, but the only thing I can see here that makes this a haunted thing is a friendly ghost that I can even talk to. So this isn't that bad, they could have done this themselves. And if I talk to the ghost, I find out why he's there. So he tells me this sad, sad story about he committed suicide because he felt remorseful for killing his girlfriend out of jealousy, this and that. So he tells me this story about the crime of passion that he committed and his remorse. And later on in the game we'll be able to fix that for him, because it can't be that nice to be a ghost. And often in the game you will be able to talk to your party members about something that you just experienced or heard about. So the topic at hand here is crimes of passion. So there's you can have a couple of opinions about this, and there are arguments for all these opinions. I'm going to pause now. Okay. So often in the game you'll be able to talk to your party member about something that you heard or experienced or someone talked about, And this guy was talking about the crime of passion that he committed. And you can feel different about that. You can have your own opinion, and there's arguments for everything. The topics that you will be able to talk about with your party members, we're making sure that there's no good answer, there's no wrong answer, that's not all black and white. So I can say that the guy who killed his girlfriend out of jealousy is nothing more but a murderer, or I can say that I feel sorry for him and that I understand why he did that. Now, in multiplayer, the other player can choose an option, and you don't always have to agree or disagree with each other. And these dialogues, they further define the relationship between the two main characters, and that will start coming into play throughout the story, and especially at the ending of the game. Just so during the big finale, the relationship that the players have towards each other changes the ending. We're choosing these topics to kind of get people that are playing this together to actually really talk about these topics. And they're not all as heavy, serious topics as this one. We also have more funny stuff, or we have a couple, especially for people who are playing this with their boyfriend, girlfriend, husband, and wife. About, for instance, there's a guy sleeping around with every woman in town, and then they can talk to this. They can talk about this together, and you can either say like, I think he's nothing more but a prostitute, or you can say like, yeah, he's just having fun, he's young, and that's how this goes. So if you're talking about that kind of stuff with your partner, you might get a couple of bruises, but you always have the excuse, I'm role-playing here, dear. So we started going back up north, and we're being stopped by a couple of skeletons, and as you can see, and a zombie. As you can see, the combat in Original Sin is turn-based and working with action points. So I just have enough action points to smack that guy around. The zombie runs up to me, and the zombie's attack is actually puking on people, and then he poisons them with his vomit. And it also created a surface on the ground. So anyone who's standing in that poisonous surface gets poisoned and gets extra poison damage as long as you're standing in it. During combat, you can still interact with the world and use the world to your advantage. Of course, the enemies can also do that and start using stuff to defend themselves and such. And the item that Benoit threw in the middle of the fight is actually an oil barrel. And as you remember, I have a fireball, so fire with oil barrel means boom. So that thing explodes, and it actually took out 2 of the skeletons by the explosion, and it also created a lava surface, so anyone who's inside that starts taking fire damage and catches fire. It also lifts up the poison surface that was here, so that's the entire rock, paper, scissors thing that's going on. I have to pick up something that the guy dropped, but it's hard to pick up stuff when I only have one hand. Okay, I think I found it. So we walk back, and our 2 very brave men return. And now we can either ignore them and go and tell their captain about the ghost of the lighthouse, or we can tell those guys if we start dialogue. Now, every time in a dialogue that you have to make a decision, if you're playing in multiplayer, the other guy also gets a say in this. So there is not a party leader that decides on everything. If your multiplayer partner is close enough to hear the dialogue, they are in the dialogue and participating. So Benoit now said that we are going to tell the soldiers what we discovered, and I can now disagree with that or agree with that. I'm going to, just for fun, disagree with that and say you will do no such thing. If there is a conflict in a dialogue like this, the RPG system in the background solves it for you, looking at your statistics and rolling dice. So there is also a chance that the guy with the lower stats can win this. This one, Benoit won the dialogue, and we end up telling the soldiers, and they thank us for the information, and they are probably running off to their captain to brag about it. So why why can you pick up all the junk? Because normally in an RPG you're only interested in weapons and armor and shields. In Divinity you can, most of the stuff that you can pick up is useful. You can also pick up junk just because you can, but for instance the log, if I use a knife on it and I'm a bit of a creative guy, I just carved a wooden figurine out of that. And the wooden figurine is actually the first step to creating a voodoo doll. You can do other stuff, for instance this poisonous mushroom, if I drag it over my sword I create a poisonous sword, and that has a couple of poison charges that you can use in combat. There's dozens and dozens of different item combinations possible. Some of them you will find out by accident or by experimenting or by thinking logically. And the more intricate ones, for instance making the voodoo doll, those are documented in the game by people talking about it or books that you can find. Speaking of items, there's always an imp at the start of every Divinity game, somewhere in the beginning, and he gives you teleporter pyramids. These teleporter pyramids are handy in the game because you can use one and it'll immediately teleport you to the location of the other teleporter pyramid. So for instance you can leave one in your own house or right next to a bed. If things get too hairy you can teleport away to a safe place. The problem is the imp left me with only one teleporter pyramid and he said I don't know where the other one is, so if you use this one you might up at the bottom of the ocean or in the belly of a whale. But I know our designers, so I'm probably safe here. So I clicked the teleporter stone and it took me to the location of the other one. Of course, right in the middle of someone's bathroom with a girl sitting in a bathtub. And there's all kinds of weird dialogue options here, and I forced them to add something normal. I don't know what that does. But the funny thing is she won't get out of her bathtub, of course. So now I can do in her house whatever I want. So normally the people, when you start messing around with their stuff, they react. But here I can do what I want because she's sitting in the bathtub. However, the guards have reacted to her screaming and they run inside and they come and check up on her. And once in a while in certain dialogues you will be able to try and intimidate them or charm them. I'm going to try intimidation here. And the check was successful. So if the check isn't successful, these guys give me a warning. My second warning I have to pay a fine, and the third warning they throw me in prison. But now that I have the teleporter pyramids I can just teleport right out of prison again. As I said, some items are seemingly useless, but a bucket for a poor adventurer like me makes a perfectly good helmet, and a broom is a perfectly good weapon. As you can see on the left, Benoit can just run around freely, so the party members don't always have to stick together. They can even start their own dialogues and combat moments. If he's in combat and in turn-based, I'm not in turn-based, I can still run around in real time. Now that I have the other teleporter pyramid, Benoit picked up the other one and he can just teleport right next to me. Another example of using the teleporter pyramids intelligently is it kind of enables you to steal from people. So it's pretty hard to steal from people if they can see you. For instance, that guy, I asked him to go inside of his house. He unlocked his door, and if I try to pick up this piece of paper, he says I'm not selling that or anything, so leave it alone. I have to put it back because otherwise he will either attack me or call the guards and call me a thief. So what I can do now is I can try killing him or something, but I'll try the more intelligent solution and drop a teleporter pyramid in here and come back when he's not watching. So when I leave his house, he also leaves the house, but he locked his door, and without a key I'm not getting in. So I can just use my teleporter pyramid now, and I end up inside and I can do whatever I want here. So now he doesn't see me, I can pick up the paper and teleport back outside. The paper I needed for the next step in creating a voodoo doll, the doll has to resemble at least an enemy of yours, because otherwise it doesn't know who you're using it against. So portrait of an orc combined with a little wooden figurine, and now I can actually create my voodoo doll because it resembles an orc. So in combat, when I see the guy called Elio, I'll be able to use that against him. We're going to go down to the beach. Bucket Man and his fellow heroine are going to the beach to show you that the things that you do in Original Sin, they have a consequence. So sometimes even the things that you don't do, because you don't have to always talk to people and you're free to do whatever you want. Those things have consequences, sometimes immediately, like someone dies or someone becomes hostile or someone gives you gold or gives you experience. Sometimes it takes 5 minutes for you to see the consequence, or even 5 hours. For instance, these guys here, they're now bragging to their captain that they solved the lighthouse mystery. We can interrupt their dialogue here and tell the captain the truth, or also lie with them. And so again, it's a decision that we're making. Benoit is close enough, so he's in on the dialogue, and he's lying, and he says, yeah, they're quite the pair of heroes, and I can say they're the best legionnaires we've ever met. And now the captain is actually very happy with those guys, and he says, I'll promote you to the rank of sergeant. So that's a consequence right there. The problem is, these guys are still idiots, and now that they're sergeants, they're going to become even bigger idiots. If I would have told the captain the truth, he would have fired him from the army, and they would stand there and look at you and go like, hey, this adventuring job, how's that working out for you? And they would start following you around, but they still are chicken and they can't really do a lot, and they're running around in your way. Another example of consequences in the game, these guys are fighting over whether they should kill the orc female or not. So they caught an orc female and gave her a love potion. So now she fell in love with one of the guys. And one soldier is saying you should kill her. The other says, no, I kind of like her in a weird way. We shouldn't kill her. So we're going to decide for them, and we're going to say that they have to kill her. So immediately one of the guys says, yeah, that's a great idea. But that guy doesn't like that decision. Now, if we would have said, let her live, she's apparently very harmless, the love potion after a while would wear out, and she would kill those soldiers. Now that we let them kill her, one of the soldiers' attitude towards us has changed, and in the future he will not help us anymore. Another combat moment here. Actually, that guy is the guy that I have the voodoo doll of. So this Elio character is some kind of mini boss, let's call him, and he's really hard to beat. So there are a couple of ways to make him weaker, and one of those ways is, for instance, the voodoo doll. So if I use the voodoo doll in combat against him, he loses a lot of health points and he doesn't understand what's going on. And at the start of the game, the enemies don't know that you can also do magic. So their plan was to use those suicide bombers there to walk up to the little town and blow everything up. Now, with normal weapons, there's not much you can do against these suicide bombers unless you really walk up to them and smack them on the head, but then they explode in your face and you die. But with, for instance, the rain spell, we can make their fuses go out, or with a fireball spell, we can make them explode from a safe distance, not taking any damage. And the Elio boss doesn't understand what's happening and he's panicking, and he runs off. Now the explosion killed off all the guys and even one orc, and the other orc is on fire from the explosion and lost a lot of health. As you can see, there's for instance a couple of bottles of water there, so there are also other ways of solving this combat moment. So we're challenging the players to to find an easy way out of these combats so that you don't lose all your health immediately. So it could be that you die a couple of times in one combat moment because you didn't find a good tactic yet, and you didn't observe the enemies, what they do, how they react to things. And because the game is obviously an RPG, it's a very free RPG, so you don't have to choose a class, for instance. You can put skill points and stat points in whatever you want. So there's always multiple ways of doing something. And often the good way is not, let's go in and smack everyone around. To end the presentation, showing you a video of the tools that we're using to create this game, because we're going to give these tools away with the game so that the players can create their own adventures and share those with the community. So you start building a world, put some items and characters in there, write your dialogues, and then script them together to have some story logic in there. And that is Original Sin.